Why would people 11,000 years ago wear deer skulls on their heads? These are some of the oldest ritual objects ever found in Britain. Nearly 11,000 years ago, people living at the edge of a lake in what is now North Yorkshire carefully modified deer skulls so they could be worn on a human head. Why would Mesolithic people do that? And what did it mean to wear part of an animal so central to survival? I'm Louise, I'm an archaeologist, and in this video I'm going to be exploring several theories behind the Star Carr frontlets. These objects mainly come from Star Carr, one of the most important Mesolithic sites in Europe. The Mesolithic period started with the transition to the Holocene, dated to around 11,700 years before present, and the Mesolithic ended with the transition to agriculture from the hunter-gathering lifestyle, the date of which varies regionally. At this time, Britain was still connected to mainland Europe, it was starting to warm up and was heavily forested and rich in wildlife. Dating to around 9000 BC, Star Carr sat at the edge of a lake, surrounded by woodlands and wetlands. Excavations at Star Carr have uncovered extraordinary organic preservation of wood, antler and bone, giving us a rare insight into Mesolithic life. Among the most striking finds are 33 deer antler frontlets, deer skulls with the antlers still attached, deliberately modified to be worn. Since the first scurries at Star Carr, antler frontlets have been found at 10 prehistoric sites in Northern Europe. To make a frontlet, Mesolithic people removed most of the skull, reshaped the cranium, and pierced holes into it so it could be secured to the head. This wasn't a quick job, it required planning, skill, and time. Analysis of the deer skulls revealed that the deers were usually deliberately killed in autumn or winter, before the antlers were shed. The skulls were then processed carefully, which sometimes involved controlled burning and a lot of fine tool work. These weren't improvised objects, they were carefully planned, made deliberately, with intention. To understand the frontlets, we need to understand deer. Deer were one of the most important animals in the Mesolithic world. They provided meat, hides, sinew and antlers for tools. Their seasonal movement structured hunting strategies and mobility. Red deer, roe deer and elk dominated both the economy and the landscape. Deer weren't just prey, they were deeply woven into everyday life, making them a powerful choice for symbolic meaning. The earliest excavator at Star Carr, Graham Clark, suggested the frontlets may have been a hunting aid. Ethnographic examples from other parts of the world show hunters using animal disguises to approach prey more closely. A deer skull may have been worn on the head to help break up the human silhouette and exploit animal sightlines. This interpretation is plausible but has its limits. The frontlets are heavy and restrict vision, making them not entirely practical for this. Star Carr has been suggested to be a hunting camp, but it definitely wasn't just a hunting camp. So while a hunting disguise may explain some uses of it, it doesn't entirely explain it. Clark also proposed that the frontlets could have been worn during ritual dances. In this theory, the skulls act as a mask, altering how the person is seen by others during ceremonies. Deer, as powerful animals, may have played a role in storytelling, seasonal rituals, or a wider part of the belief system. However, this idea still treats the skulls as a symbolic prop, rather than something deeper that fundamentally changed the wearer. What if wearing a deer skull wasn't about pretending to be a deer, but about becoming something else? Some archaeologists now explore the frontlets through a different framework, one drawn from anthropological studies of hunter-gatherer belief systems. In many non-Western worldviews, humans and animals aren't sharply divided. They are thought to share an inner essence or spirit, while the body itself is changeable. The belief system of shamanism has often been tied to hunter-gatherer societies. These beliefs include a three-part cosmos made of an upper spirit world, a middle world for the living, and an underworld for the dead, all connected by a symbolic pathway such as a tree, pillar, or river. Humans and animals are understood to share a soul or spiritual essence, creating relationships based on respect rather than dominance. Within this worldview, you have the shaman, who acts as sort of a religious specialist, who can move between the worlds, mediating between the people, spirits, and animals. From this perspective, wearing parts of an animal may not be a disguise or prop, it could be transformative. The deer frontlets may have allowed people to temporarily take on qualities of the deer, their movements, perception, or place in the world. Not literally becoming a deer, but entering a new state that sort of blurred this boundary between human and animal. So the deer frontlets may have been especially important for these ritual specialists, people we could loosely call shamans, who mediated the living world, spirit world and animal world. While just a theory, this does fit the evidence surprisingly well. However, archaeology has its limits. We don't know who wore these, were they limited to use by certain people, how long were they worn for, and how often. Regardless, the deer frontlets challenged the view that Mesolithic people lived purely simple, practical lives. They showed creativity, belief, and especially a thoughtful relationship with animals. They didn't just live in nature, they thought about their place in it and their place in the wider world. So why did Mesolithic people dress as deer? For hunting, for ritual, or for transformation? These reasons could all be correct and layered upon each other, but they provide a fascinating view into the lives of people who lived 11,000 years ago. Comment what you think down below and be sure to like and subscribe for more archaeology content. Thanks for watching.